Don't you find it curious, Clara, how the most profound shifts in our perspective often occur during the most pedestrian moments of our existence? I was sitting here, watching the way the light hit that particular chipped edge of my ceramic mug, and it struck me how much of our lives is composed of these tiny, unremarkable rituals.
You're drifting into your philosophical tendencies again, Elias. It's a bit romanticized, don't you think? For most people, the daily grind isn't a series of poetic rituals. It's a relentless cycle of obligations that we simply endure to make ends meet. The mundane isn't a vessel for epiphany. It's often just, well, mundane.
Perhaps, but isn't there a certain solace in that predictability? There's a rhythm to it, a cadence. When you strip away the grand ambitions and the monumental achievements, what remains is this steady, reliable pulse of life. The brewing of coffee, the walk to the station, the specific way the afternoon sun hits the park bench. These aren't just distractions from real life. They are the very fabric of it.
I suppose I can concede that there's comfort in habit. It mitigates the anxiety of choice. If every morning required a radical reimagining of how to exist, we'd be paralyzed by decision fatigue. But I struggle with the idea that there is depth in the repetitive. I prefer the spontaneous, the unexpected, the moments that break the pattern rather than reinforce it.
But even spontaneity exists within a framework. You can't have a sudden, unexpected detour if you don't have a path to begin with. I think the trick is to find the nuance within the repetition. It's not about doing the same thing every day. It's about noticing that the same thing is never actually the same twice. The light changes, the air shifts, your own internal state evolves. The ritual is the constant, but the experience is always ephemeral.
That's a very sophisticated way of justifying a monotonous existence, Elias. Still, I'll admit, looking at the world through that lens might make the commute a little less soul-crushing. It's about finding the sublime in the ordinary, isn't it?
I honestly don't know how I functioned before the smartphone era. Everything is so streamlined now. I can manage my entire professional life, my finances, and my social interactions from the palm of my hand. It's the ultimate democratization of information and efficiency.
Democratization or fragmentation? I feel like we've traded depth for breadth. We have access to everything, yet we seem to grasp nothing deeply. The constant barrage of notifications, the incessant urge to scroll, it's creating this pervasive sense of cognitive dissonance. We are physically present, but mentally, we are scattered across a dozen different digital platforms.
But isn't that just the price of progress? We're evolving to process information at a higher velocity. The human brain is remarkably plastic. It adapts. I don't feel fragmented. I feel augmented. I feel like I'm part of a global, interconnected consciousness.
An augmented consciousness that is constantly being manipulated by algorithms designed to exploit our dopamine loops. That's the insidious part, Liam. We think we are the users, but in many ways, we are the product. We are being conditioned to crave brevity and instant gratification, which is fundamentally antithetical to the kind of sustained contemplation required for genuine creativity or profound thought.
I take your point, but I think you're being a bit too fatalistic. It's about intentionality. Just because a tool exists doesn't mean we have to be its slave. One can utilize the connectivity of the digital age while still carving out sacred spaces for solitude and deep work. It's a matter of digital hygiene.
Digital hygiene? An interesting euphemism. But when the entire infrastructure of modern life is built upon the premise of constant engagement, maintaining that solitude feels less like a choice and more like a constant, exhausting battle against the tide. Grandmother, why do you always insist on making the broth from scratch? It takes hours, sometimes even an entire morning, while we could just use the concentrated base from the market. It seems so inefficient in this fast-paced world.
Efficiency is the enemy of flavor, Hannah. You cannot rush the essence of an ingredient. When you simmer these bones and vegetables, you aren't just cooking. You are performing a slow extraction of history and character. The time spent is what allows the subtle nuances to emerge. The sweetness of the onion, the earthiness of the mushrooms. You can't find that in a powder.
But it's so much work. Sometimes I feel like we spend more time preparing the meal than actually enjoying it. Everything is moving so quickly outside these walls, and here we are, tethered to a stove for half the day.
That tethering, as you call it, is actually an anchor. It keeps us from being swept away by the currents of the world. And besides, cooking is how we preserve memory. When I smell this particular combination of ginger and dashi, I am instantly transported back to my mother's kitchen 60 years ago. It's a visceral form of time travel.
I never thought of it that way. I just thought of it as a chore. But I suppose when the soup is finally ready and the whole house smells like this, it does feel like something special is happening.
Precisely. Life isn't just about the destination, the eating, it's about the alchemy of the process, the patience, the aroma, the attention to detail. That is where the soul of the meal and perhaps the soul of a life truly resides.